touch me under the table, please. It's inappropriate.
Sorry, take your time. All right, we're reconvening the meeting. Thanks everyone for being here tonight. Can I have a motion to accept the minutes of the February meeting?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Well, thanks everyone for coming tonight. We've got a great agenda. Just wanted to say a quick note on the work that the board and the administration is doing on the topic of private school transportation. It's something that's been discussed now for at least the 3 years that I've been on the board, and longer, I believe. It's starting to get to become a bit of a large line item on our budget. Roughly 1.5% is what we're anticipating for next year. We have 2 board members who are graciously spending time riding the routes themselves, which is sort of like the first step in doing some research on where we might be able to find some more efficiencies in the future. We certainly want to hear from the community on this, and we want to hear their concerns, and we want to be thoughtful on this process and make sure that we all have the opportunity to work on this together. So just wanted to make sure that everybody watching tonight or in the future understands that this is something that we're looking at. That's it for me. Rach?
We're pleased to have with us tonight our ex officio student board member, Louise Jacobs. Welcome.
Hi, it's so good to see everybody. We've had some fun things happening over the past few weeks. First off, the Science Speaker Club hosted a scientist from Regeneron, and he spoke about his journey kind of in the science field and his work manufacturing cells for research. The winter sports seasons wrapped up, and they had their sports awards on March 10th, and the spring sports seasons then began on March 16th. The winter high school musical Chicago was on March 12th, 13th, and 14th, and it was a huge success. With sold out all nights.
That is amazing.
The Athletic Council also planned the Harlem Wizards event, which was also a huge success, and that was on March 15th. The French exchange program is currently happening. The students left today, and they're going to be staying with and spending time with students from France over spring break. And currently the SFL is working on planning a community service event with the Reformed Church Food Pantry. And that's it.
That's great.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a
Thank
good
you.
night.
Have a good one.
Thanks.
So I'm going to start my report by welcoming many of our high school faculty and students here this evening for our Bronxville Promise in Action, specifically to hear more about how our students are leading our mini electives. So I'm going to call Dr. Ray Laverso up to introduce them. We're very grateful that you're taking the time. Dana and Brian and Ben, thank you for being here. I know it makes for a long day, and for the students as well, so thank you.
Good evening, everybody. I'm very grateful that I get to be here tonight to share something that's very near and dear to my heart and to the students as well, our student-facilitated mini-electives. This program is in its 3rd year, and we initially started with the teacher-led model, but it was highly successful. But as Dr. Kelly always says, we're never resting on our laurels here. So the program has evolved over time, and it's become a student teaching students model. And it's really taken this opportunity a step further for our students. So our high school years are really formative. Students have passions, and they use this time to channel their energy and to put these passions into a purpose. And the student-led mini electives are just one opportunity that the high school gives them to do that. We propose the electives in the spring. There's curriculum work that goes into making the electives and developing the mini electives over the summer, and then they're taught during quarters 2 and 3 during the school year for about a 10-week period. Oftentimes, these mini electives are interdisciplinary, and they require students to draw upon knowledge and skills from several different disciplines that they're interested in. So over the last few years, we've had a wide variety of courses which reflects the diverse interests of our students, ranging from mission to action, which you'll hear about tonight. That's about starting a nonprofit. Also, intro to data science and Far East studies. Topics like civil engineering and the history of 1 square mile show a blend of practical skills and local community engagement. And we have several teachers and students with us this evening to provide some specific information about how these electives have been going and what their experience has been like. So I'm joined tonight by Ms. Dana Landsman, Mr. Brian Haling, and Mr. Ben Cornish. And I'm going to kick off this evening by introducing Ms. Dana Landsman.
Good evening. So tonight I am thrilled to introduce our mini elective called 1 Square Mile. The course exemplifies our promise by allowing students to move beyond the textbooks and become active historians. Central to this experience is our incredible partnership with the Bronxville Historical Conservancy and our Bronxville History Center. By working directly with the town historian and local archives, our students aren't just learning history, they're helping to record and preserve it for the future of our village. I'd like to introduce Cooper Keating, who will tell you more about the elective that he developed.
Thank you, Ms. Landsman. As students, we often think of history as something that happens far away in a different century. But this elective has taught us that big historical events always happen somewhere, and often that place is right within our own square mile. Our main goal in this elective was to shift from being passive consumers of information to active researchers. In this class, we don't just memorize dates, we choose topics that we are passionate about and dive into real historical sources, blueprints, and personal papers. Whether it's researching artistic origins of Tudor-style aesthetic, the 12 years John F. Kennedy spent living on Pondfield Road, or even the history of our own homes, we are uncovering stories that we haven't been explored by students yet. The work is important because it connects us to our community in a tangible way. Through our partnership with the Bronxville Historical Center, we've learned how to navigate archives and collaborate with experts to ensure our work is credible. The end result isn't a test, it's a public-facing project that contributes. Okay, here's some pictures of, we did a field trip to the archives last week, and the town historian Ray kind of gave us a show and tell of some interesting sources. And the end result isn't a test, it's a public-facing project that contributes to the community's historical record permanently, hopefully. My peers and I are currently developing projects to share what we've found. We aren't just students in a classroom, we are becoming keepers of the Bronxville legacy, ensuring that the unique identity of our village is understood and celebrated by the generations that follow us. In fact, I've already talked to some juniors we hope to take on and carry on this elective next year, which is pretty exciting. Thank you guys for supporting a curriculum that let us turn our interests into something real and meaningful. Let me introduce Mr. Cornish.
Evening, everyone. I'm Ben Cornish. I teach AP Physics, Computer Science, Core Physics, Chemistry, as well as the little electives of robotics and of engineering that we have. And we have this 1 semester Intro to Engineering course, which is of my own making, and it's different each time I run it. And it's sort of an interest-dependent thing, as well as who and how many are in the class. And the objective with that course is it's a little bit of exposure to a field of study and practice which students have certainly heard of, but they may not necessarily know what it's about or what's involved. And so it's a departure from like the traditional academics which they experience everywhere, but it's also hoping to pique their interest in engineering, and they might be able to pursue it somewhat further down the line. And so a good example of that is Andre and Matt I have here with me. I've got 3 of these, but theirs is the civil engineering peer-to-peer instruction model, which they want to share with you here tonight. So I'll get out of the way and let them tell you a little bit more about it.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Andre Carmon. If I'm to be perfectly honest, I've been very shocked over the course of developing this mini elective, and this feeling has persisted, frankly, throughout my entire high school career, because I have a very deep passion for civil engineering. I think it is a immensely interesting field, and I'm so glad to be able to share it with the Bronxville School and the entire student corpus. Now, the reason why I say I'm shocked is because, frankly, most of the students that I've talked to haven't even heard of civil engineering. So one of the major reasons why I wanted to develop this course with Mr. Cornish and Matthew here is because not only did I want to show other students the principles of this field, but I also wanted to introduce them to this field, which I think is such a core part of what makes our societies grow and thrive. So I want to introduce Matthew here. He's going to talk a little bit more about what we actually do in the course, the types of things that we cover, and what we hope to do in the future.
So yeah, we felt that it would be best to teach civil engineering with a project-based methodology. So the way we're doing is we're introducing the class with a bridge project. We're just going to throw them right into it. And then we'll have them do a bunch of lessons learning more about civil engineering and the actual practices of engineers. And then we'll do the same bridge project at the end, so they'll kind of see how they grew throughout the class. But throughout, we'll do presentations on topics like structural engineering, material science, urban planning, and we're going to do a couple more projects sprinkled in throughout to kind of keep them engaged, so we're not just talking on PowerPoints the entire time. Next up, we have Mr. Howe.
Well done.
So hello, I'm Mr. Howling, Brian Howling. I teach pre-calculus, differential calculus, and entrepreneurship here in high school. I just want to thank you all for the opportunity to work with our kids in so many different ways. When entrepreneurship presented itself to me as a new opportunity, Ms. Meyer came to me about it, and we were talking about the course and the last teacher that had done it. And there were so many things under the umbrella of entrepreneurship. And I just want to say a sincere thank you to everyone here, because as a math teacher, I teach a very regimented, structured process every day. And when I get into entrepreneurship as a type A personality, it's a little bit of a push for me personally to think outside the box and kind of turn over that control and give students that space. So I've learned and grown to just get out of the way. And I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to turn it over. I would give you Diana here to talk, but she's actually on a plane as we speak. So if I could play her video.
Hello, everyone. My name is Diana McEnroe, and I'm a junior at Bronxville High School. My apologies for not being there in person, as I am currently on a flight to Paris for French exchange. I'm not there yet, but I hope that this gives you the idea. You can tell that Bronxville students clearly hate being busy. So, quarter 2, I had the privilege of teaching the mini elective Mission to Action, Starting Your Nonprofit, after being a student in the first rendition of the class last year. I had already founded a nonprofit called Dance for Hope, but through the class I was able to connect with the school and build it to a level I never imagined, receiving the Lucy Grant, developing a website, and establishing multiple branches with the help of my teachers and peers. This year, being able to flip my role and become the teacher of this course was truly such a beautiful thing. I was able to watch and help my peers create ventures they are proud of and that will impact their surroundings. Community service is transformative, enriching, and empowering. Being able to bring out these qualities in my peers was an experience I will hold close to my heart forever. At the end of the elective, which included classes ranging from ideation to business planning, fundraising, community engagement, and pitching 101, all my students presented their ventures with the opportunity to advance and present for a grant at the Entrepreneurship Shark Tank pitch in April. And I was in the back taking pictures like a proud Facebook mom. Now, I am profoundly honored to say that I get to be as ecstatic watching 9 outstanding ventures come to life as I was to bring Dance for Hope to life. I appreciate your time tonight, and please continue to support projects that uplift Bronxville students, teachers, and communities all around. Thank you.
Things that maybe we even don't have the courage to do. On Tuesday, April 7th, we get to watch our Shark Tank pitch here, and I hope to see those 9 ventures really bring the passion that we've seen students already for multiple years bring. So thank you.
Any questions?
I have a question. Was it Andre, the civil engineering guy? What sparked your original interest in civil engineering?
So, for civil engineering specifically, one of the things that I like to emphasize is it is sort of a combination of so many different fields that you would never expect to work together. So, for a civil engineering background, you would likely be versed in chemistry, physics, calculus, but then there's something like urban planning, which maybe you'd want a background in even psychology. It is a field that is a true combination of a multitude of different things. And I think each of those individual pieces, to me, is very important. And I have a great deal of passion for even those individual pieces, like math or physics. But when you bring them together, I think you create a new discipline that, to me, is very special.
Do you have a family member in this field, or did you read about someone in this field who you admire? I'm just curious where it came from originally.
It was sort of a personal exploration of different fields in engineering.
Yeah.
Because I was really interested in just the idea of applying concepts of nature to solve actual problems. And so I was looking at different fields of engineering, and at some point or other I stumbled across civil engineering, and I can't remember how it went from there, to be honest. I mean,
that's great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
That was a great presentation. This is like a testament to what makes Bronxville special. So thank you all for your hard work.
Thank you.
I'm going to focus my highlights this evening on elementary school because it does tap into the work they are doing with both middle and high school. So over the past month, elementary students have been building leadership skills and meaningful connections across grade levels. Last week marked the first high school 5th grade mentoring session. High school varsity athletes met with small groups of 5th graders during one lunch period. Together they spent time getting to know one another, creating group names, and engaging in Would You Rather. It was a wonderful start to what we hope will become an ongoing connection. As Anthony Vaglica explained, when a high schooler sits down with an elementary student, looks them in the eye, and encourages them through a simple task or game, the younger student learns that true leadership is about lifting others up. We want younger students to see that being a true leader is not about being the best player, it's about how you treat people. Later in the spring, 8th graders will assist the 2nd grade in preparing their service project for Paws Crossed. In preparation, 8th graders have joined 2nd graders during some lunch and recess periods in order to get to know each other better. Both the older and younger students have enjoyed spending time together and are excited for their joint spring project. Beginning in January, 4th grade classes have paired up with 1st grade friends. The buddies read books together and work on projects centered on demonstrating kindness and be 3 with heart. And some exciting elementary new programs. Songbirds, a choral group for those interested 3rd and 4th graders, meets regularly with music teacher Marina Brown. And the Radio Club, initiated by 5th graders and advised by our technology teacher Jim Mitchell, has already produced its first program. And get ready to tune in to B300 for its next program airing at the end of this month. So kudos to our elementary, middle, and high school leadership and teachers who have taken on this important initiative, so thank you. I'll move right into personnel. Great. So the board and I had an opportunity to discuss the personnel action items in executive session. I do want to point out a few of them. The first one being a teacher retirement. Ms. Nina Blauner, after 21 years of dedicated service to the Bronxville Elementary School, has announced her intention to retire as of June 30th. And Nina has really been a wonderful and active member of the 2nd grade team, always finding ways to support both her students and the school community. She has consistently put students first and is deeply committed to helping each child succeed. Nina is thoughtful about her teaching and works hard to ensure her instruction reflects best practices. Just as importantly, she brings joy and energy into her classroom, whether through music or fun-themed days, creating a warm, engaging environment where students love to learn. So we wish Nina the very best in retirement, and we'll have ample opportunity to celebrate her throughout the spring. I also want to point out that this is typically the agenda where we appoint the election personnel for the annual school budget and board election, which is on May 19th. And a thank you to Connie as district clerk for coordinating all of that. Also, we are so pleased. Last month we announced the resignation of Albert Corvino, our school district treasurer. And we are so fortunate to have found a very seasoned, highly qualified replacement, and that is Adrian Demita. So she will be starting with us in April, and we thank Albert ahead of time, not only for his service to us, but also for being available to make this a smooth transition. And then I do want to point out a few revisions to our spring coaches roster. There are changes in a number of stipends, and that is because Section 1 changed the length of season for a few of the spring teams, not all of them. They changed lacrosse, I believe track, as well as flag football. So as a result of that, because length of season is a variable in the formula in calculating the coaching stipends, we did have to adjust those. In addition, the board and the leadership deliberated quite thoughtfully over the recommendation to actually add a second flag football team. Flag football is 3 years old for us, if you will. 2 years ago, we offered it for the first time as a merged team with Irvington. And the interest was so high that last year we had our own varsity program. This year there were 37 high school girls interested in flag football. There are only 7 on the field at once. But this was an important decision for us to really think about carefully, because we're just coming off talking about the field constraints that we're experiencing. And working with Anthony Baglica, our Director of PE Athletics and Health, we were able to come up with a solution where JV and varsity will practice together. And there will not be an increased cost in transportation, because with any away games, they will be transported together and play back to back. And so we did feel, given the interest and given how we looked at the bottom line budget, that we were interested in recommending this and paying an additional coach for our JV girls. So we're excited about this prospect, but I felt that it earned an explanation. So I am asking you to consider action items this evening, A through U.
Any questions?
Dan, can you confirm the total amount for the spring coaches roster stipends? Because an earlier version of this had a different amount than what's on board docs.
That might have been before the new assistant lacrosse coach for the girls.
Well, the number that's posted on board docs is lower than the version I printed a few days ago.
So we do have one, I'm not sure if this is it, but allow me to point it out. We do have one assistant varsity lacrosse coach to still fill. We do have one in mind. We're just waiting for clearance.
That's what it is. That position's empty now because someone left us.
And it was filled earlier. Do you think that that could be it?
I think that is it. I did a quick comparison. But we are going to have that. You are looking to fill it, so we will still have that expense. So
Yes.
should we be approving the higher amount or the lower amount?
I think what we usually do is bring this back to you updated at the next board meeting
Yeah.
when we hire that one more coach.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay, can I please have a motion to approve the personnel action items?
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great, thank you. I have one more item for you to consider. The employees in the district are eligible for a compensatory day if we don't exceed the number of allowable snow days. And because we only had 3, I am asking you to consider April 6th, that's the Monday after Easter, as a day, a vacation day with no instruction.
Anybody have any questions or concerns with that? We have a motion for that one? Okay. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So we're near the end of the budget process. We're hoping to adopt the budget tonight, that we can, take forth, inform the public and the taxpayers all of our constituents over the next month and a half, or 2 months, and get ready for the referendum in May. You've seen this slide at a number of meetings, and this is kind of the story of this year's budget, or begins to tell the story. I went back and looked at our budget since the tax levy cap was enacted in 2011, and did some analysis where we would be if we just budgeted at the cap each year. Looked at both cumulative savings for taxpayers over that period of time, and also where our budget would have been this past year. Cumulatively, we have saved taxpayers well over $15 million by coming in under the cap for those 14 years. With our budget being about $2.8 million lower than it would be had we budgeted at the cap. Again, the point is not to say how much we didn't spend, because spending is not the goal. The goal is to ask for the resources needed for the program we want to put forth, balancing the needs of our students and prudent budgeting and expenditure practices. That was less than the tax levy cap, then so be it, and up until now it had been. What we're finding now is that inflation is so outpacing recent caps that we're struggling to keep our current programs intact and stay within the cap this year. So where we ended our last meeting, our proposed budget is at about $57.6 million with a tax levy of $50.4 million, almost $50.5 million. For a percentage tax levy increase of 4.8% versus a calculated tax levy cap of just under 2%. This budget is over the cap by $1,381,326. But that's new territory for us. So why this year? There have been large gaps between operating budgets and inflation over the last 5 years. Healthcare benefit costs are rising at 3 times the rate of inflation, exceeding the tax levy cap this year with a 4.8% increase, while still trailing well below recent inflation will position the district to stay under the cap for at least 2 years going forward. Most of our peers have either exceeded the cap previously or had higher tax levy caps due to the composition of their assessment rolls. Inflation from just 2021 to 2025 increased at 18% for the core and 20% for the overall CPI. Our budget and tax levy rose 7%, tax levy rose 8% over that same period of time. For the first time in the 14-year history of the tax levy cap, our budget as it stands now will require a 60% plus one supermajority for approval. I think the bottom line is we're finally reaching a tipping point with the budget. In order to meet the levy limit this year, we'll be looking at programmatic cuts across the board, including elementary and middle school class sizes, high school elective offerings, which we just heard about tonight, athletic and performing arts reductions, etc. There would be literally nothing untouched if we had to get to the cap. And considering the reasonableness of a sub 5% increase on the tax levy versus these programmatic reductions, I think we came out of the last workshop that the board is leaning towards exceeding the tax levy cap for the first time in the history of the cap. And again, that will require, even though we regularly pass our budgets at a 4 or 5 to 1 ratio for approval, it will require a 60% supermajority for approval. I I think this slide visually drives home both the point that we have been successful in keeping our budgets and tax levy changes below the rate of inflation over the last 17 years, and also that the top two lines depicting the last 5 inflationary years within that circle in the CPI have really bent upward, while the middle lines, which are the tax levy and the budget, have been left behind. Interestingly enough, enrollment is about exactly where it was to the student back in 2009, 2010, where this chart begins. This is the pie chart we show every year. I shade the area in blue that represents salaries and benefits. And we're always right around 75, 76% of the budget is in salaries and benefits. We're a school, we're a very, very people-centered organization. The next largest categories are for contracted services, which we can or choose not to do ourselves. Cleaning, security, maintenance, they're big items. Insurance, that's in the green area. After that, we have debt service on our outstanding debt and BOCES services. They're both orange, which are mostly our technology infrastructure and staff development services. I think the takeaway here is that supplies, equipment, textbooks are such a small portion of the budget, and making substantial changes to the budget usually involves headcount or other compensation-related expenses. In calculating the impact on a taxpayer in terms of the tax rate, we begin with our proposed levy and divide that by the preliminary assessment roll, which is up 3.68% to about $3.82 billion. That gives us a tax rate with the budget, the tax levy as it stands now, of $13.21 per thousand of assessed value. It's really 1.3% of your assessed value. The 0.94% increase in the rate from 2025-2026 is due to the percent increase in the assessment roll, being a little bit higher than, or a little bit lower than the projected levy increase. That's the difference. And based on the 2026-2027 preliminary rate and levy where it sits now, a homeowner whose property is assessed at $3 million the current year is paying about $39,262 in school taxes, while a homeowner whose property is assessed at $3 million for next year will pay about $41,089 in school taxes, a change of about $389. I would advise all residents to see if their assessment changed. Obviously, that would be a factor as well.
The number's wrong. Yeah. Shouldn't it be 40,089? Just checking, Dan.
Let's see.
Something's off with that 369.
It's like $1,800.
Yep.
Yes.
Something's off.
Yeah, I think, let's see.
It's $1,800 number.
There is an error there.
Mm-hmm.
I'll fix that slide.
And you're confident the number is 369? That is the right number, right?
1321. Yes. It would not be 41.
Okay.
It would be 13.21 basically times 3 times 1,000.
Okay.
But it would go up more than that, right? Because like if you're paying about $40,000 in taxes and it's going up about 5%, that's $2,000. So if it's a little less, it's going to be like $1,800 and change or something like that.
If your assessment goes up.
Yeah.
because the assessment rolls are up 3.68%. And depending how much of that, you know, is not related to the value of your home, and people, you know, add it onto their homes or something like that, that would have an impact as well. But it looks like that number would be 39,630, yeah, it would be 39,630, I think, not 41. I don't know where I got that from, but so the difference is the difference is the change of 389 is the correct number. I just didn't update that 41 number, which I will do. I apologize.
Does it make sense?
No.
I don't, yeah, I don't.
For a historical perspective on the tax rate, we're usually
Dan,
Yeah.
we'll come back to this number.
Sure.
And we'll get it right in the communication to the community.
yes.
We'll take another look at it. But that number, something seems off here. So we want to get that right.
Yep.
Yep. Okay.
Projected tax rate is near the lowest we've seen over the last 10 years. Due to revaluation, we have consistently been in the $13 to $14 per thousand of assessed value.
Changed a little, so I don't know.
Looking at how this impacts our fund balance. As you can see, we expect to end the year in a strong position compared to prior years. The plan by the board over the last few years to address capital needs is identified by architects. If the surplus grows throughout the rest of the year, it would increase this number. Conversely, if the surplus is less than anticipated, it would reduce this figure. I think you can look at the projected June 30, 2026, and you can see the difference from where we transferred $5 million out to our capital fund to help fund the upcoming capital project. So we are trying to build that up again because we know coming in the future we have Hayesfield and Chambersfield replacements. We're still in a good place. We're ahead of where we were, about almost exactly where we were in 2022. So I think we're probably in a place to try and build up our reserves to try and keep our strong bond rating, and as we go to issue debt, and you know, there's rumors of another reserve coming down the pike for OPEB, or you know, other post-employment benefits, which we would look to fund if that reserve ever gets approved. So we're looking to keep our reserves in a strong place. And finally, the budget includes 3 multi-year contracts or leases for network copiers, private school transportation, and our technology installment purchase agreement through BOCES to continue our replacement cycle for Chromebooks, computers, and other technology infrastructure items. We're required to point these items out annually in our budget document, and I'm doing so here in the interest of transparency. We're also considering a trade-in of our large bus, as we've had it for about 5 years, and it's been very successful. We bought it used, and probably maybe looking to trade that in and get one that'll last us another 5 years. The photocopy contract was awarded a few months ago under the New York State Office of General Services contract, and the transportation contract was bid competitively 2 years ago and will be extended with a CPI increase. And the BOCES purchase of new technology equipment is executed either under competitive bidding requirements or New York State contracted pricing. And that's where we are. as far as this budget goes. And where did that other the projection file go? Yeah, and this. Because we have a projection model that we
Oh,
want
the
to take a
projection
look at.
model. Okay,
Yes.
got it. Oops, okay. That's it. See it?
That's it.
Okay.
There we go. This is a projection model that we've been working on for a couple of years now. This is where the current budget is at 25, 26, according to the financial report that we'll see pretty soon. And let's see. 26, 27. We have, let's see. We're showing, with the tax levy as it is now, breaking even, obviously, that's the point of the budget. And going next year, moving everything, trending all our expenditures and projecting our revenues forward. We're showing a deficit at this point of about $612,000. You know, to me, that's within striking distance considering our assumptions. I don't think there's a problem there, and I don't think there's a problem here because we're within striking distance. Both of these years show zero allocation to fund balance to offset the tax levy. And also, I think some of our trend assumptions are on the high end compared to some of the cost-cutting measures we're taking. So I think those 2 years will not be an issue. I think the next year we're looking at is 2029, 2030. As far as if we don't bend the cost curves that we were talking about as far as private school transportation, health insurance, some of the big inputs for the budget, I think that's our next danger area, is going out 27, 20, or 28, 9, 30, I'm sorry.
Yeah, this is when our debt service kicks in on the
Yeah.
new project.
Yep.
And we do have reserves available to help to offset that, Dan?
Yes.
And what would that look like?
We've typically, for debt service for that 1 year,
Yeah.
I think for that 1 year, we probably have close to $600,000 or $700,000 that we could tap in the debt service fund to mitigate that. But obviously, you know, something has to be done with the health benefits. That's our biggest cost curve. We're assuming 8% a year because for the last 3 years it's been around there. You can see, I guess, in the early part of the 2020, 2020, 2021, we were actually down a little bit, flat, down a little bit, and then boom, 2023, 24, up 9.3%. 14% current year, up 10.2% next year. So we're assuming about 8% go in the next few years. There's no overall trend information that we're getting from anywhere that suggests at this point that organic health insurance trends are going to go down. So we're assuming pretty much a worst case scenario over the next 4 or 5 years, unless we do something to bend that cost curve. That's why our finance committee has been looking at alternative health insurance programs to save money.
Yeah.
No, I think we've delayed, of course, having to have an override for our budget. When we look at schools that often compare themselves to us and vice versa, they have already experienced this. Over the last 2 years, many of our neighbors exceeded their tax cap then and went for a supermajority. We were able to hold out. You know, I feel that we've been very responsible and really balancing the distinctive programs that we take such pride in and really make us Bronxville with being fiscally responsible. And I think the budget workshops we've had over the last several months, we spent a considerable amount of time really looking very carefully at how could we get that $1.3 million difference? How do we achieve that and not exceed the tax cap? And it would really decimate so many of the programs that we take such pride in. And also very pragmatically increase class sizes. And I think between our distinctive programs and class size, we have to just concede that inflation has finally caught up with us. And it's worth putting a budget out there that's closer to 4.8%. And not what's our tax cap, 1.94?
Yes.
1.94.
Yeah, and I think we've all been in agreement about the need for that. And in fact, what we struggled with since we started looking ahead 5 years for the first time into the future, not just trying to move a year at a time, is trying to balance addressing the next couple of years while we solve these cost problems. And ideally, I'd love to be able to look up at a set of projections that addresses years beyond as well. Mm-hmm. But kind of balancing, you know, being responsible now in the next few years with, you know, maybe having to have another look at this once that debt service kicks in. You know, and just trying to be transparent about that. You know, we were initially looking at a more modest tax increase for next year, but I think we all, after some discussion, kind of pushed for something that would help the next couple of years become more manageable. I mean, we obviously will still have work to do in the next couple of years to address those gaps. But after that, we're going to have to reassess. Mm-hmm. So I don't think we can make guarantees that, you know, there'll be no overrides in the future. But, you know, we've really tried hard to balance you know, balancing next year's budget and kind of laying the groundwork for the next couple of years to be manageable as well.
Well said.
You know, one thing I just want to call attention to, you know, we've, on this set of projections, we've tried to be very transparent about some of the cost areas that we're focused on, like health insurance and transportation. But another area that's, excuse me, important to our community is interscholastic athletics. We should probably at some point break that out on the projections as well. It's not, as big a line item as health insurance. It's bigger than private school transportation. We spend about $1.3 million a year on interscholastic athletics. We spend another, I think, $300,000 on transportation for interscholastic athletics. It is, as much as we point out the growth historically of our budget, and how, closely it's been managed increase-wise, we have invested in interscholastic athletics at a rate that's in excess, historically, of how the overall budget has grown. So I do think it's important just to call attention to that, because where you invest says a lot about your priorities as a community in your budget.
Thank you, Susan.
Yep.
I think it's also really important to look at slide 7. I know you covered it, Dan, quite well, but eventually inflation caught up with us. We've done our best to, since we looked back all the way back to 2010, we've done our very best to not have this occur where we've had to go beyond the tax levy, but inflation's been it's been a very strong, robust number over the last few years. And it's impacted everything in the school, from the goods and services that we procure to run the school. And if you look back at that graph, there's actually a 20% point differential, something that is an astonishing number between where we are and where inflation is over that same period between 2010 and today. So it's a big number. It caught up to us, everybody. We've been doing our best to maintain everything we can without harming programming over the last several years, but it has been something that we looked at very, very, very closely this year as something that was hard to do, / impossible. So I think that slide does for me at least call out a lot of an area to look at closely.
Yeah, great. Yeah, thank you to the Finance Committee for
Your hard work.
really keeping an eye on this.
I'm going to send out a corrected slide number 9, but the number is 39,631. So the change of 369 is correct. I just didn't update that other number. There's no such $41,000 number. It's
Okay.
39,631.
Okay, good, because that gives us the ability to then approve the budget. Okay, good. All right. So it's not 41,089, it's what?
Correct.
39 what?
39,631.
Which means that on a home assessed at $3 million, taxes will go up $369, just to repeat. Okay.
School taxes.
The school taxes, that's right.
Yeah.
If their home is assessed
Stays
at
at
the
the
same
same
amount.
assessment.
Same assessment,
Yeah.
that's right. Okay. Okay.
We felt that number could be helpful. We had an all-school PTA meeting, and I had the leadership team there talking about what makes each of our schools and programs distinctive. And then we segued to Dan to talk about what this budget may look like next year. When he said that the board is considering, and the leadership, that we're considering a 4.8% increase, you could see body language in the auditorium like, 4.8. But then when he translated what that would mean on a home that maintains its value year over year, all of a sudden it felt a little bit much more reasonable. So that's why we want to incorporate that information, because $369 feels much more reasonable than hearing 4.8% increase. So I think you know, those pragmatic calculations are going to be important as we move forward.
And I'm sorry, just for clarification, at one point we did hear a number that was more in line with $1,800 or something like that. And maybe I'm mixing this up with something else, but what was that? Where did we get that from?
Well, if
just
you
for
take-
clarity, make sure we're all on the same page.
If your home goes up by 3.68%,
In value.
because that's what the increase in the taxable assessed value was.
Mhm.
And if everybody's getting reassessed every year, usually a third go up, a third go down, and a third stay even. But that the increase in the value of the house would make the percentage tax increase on the levy fully attributed to your tax, your personal tax change. So it would be 4.8% of 3 million would be, you know, almost $1,500.
So, Dan, I think the way to explain it might be, where does the 0.94% number come from on page 9?
Mhm.
Because that times 39 times 39,000 get you the $369.
Mhm.
Where does that 0.94% number come from?
That's the change, the percent change in the $13.21 estimated tax rate versus the prior year estimated tax rate of, or the actual tax rate of 13.0873.
Okay.
That's why we're trying to be clear that that $369 number is if your home stays at the same value year over year. And that's why Dan said, you know, you need to look at your own home's assessed value. Because if the assessed value is increasing, then of course that number will too.
Yep.
Okay. Any other questions on, while we're on it?
And I think it's important, you know, after we consider adopting this budget for next year, we're very clear with our communication. It's going to be very important that we try and reduce this almost to a one-page cheat sheet if we can, so we can be as clear and transparent as possible, so the community has a very good understanding before we're asking them to vote on the budget May 19th.
Yes.
So in order to adopt the budget, we need a resolution. That's correct, Connie, right?
Oh, what are we doing? Yeah.
Yeah.
Until we really understand.
Sure.
Is that okay?
So instead of moving forward with adopting the budget, why don't we have the finance committee get together one more time, make sure everything is accurate and reviewed, and then we'll hold a special meeting to adopt the budget, so we're meeting the timelines necessary before May 19th.
Okay.
Makes sense.
You comfortable with that?
I am,
Yeah?
yes.
Susan?
Sure.
Okay,
Mhm.
okay.
Great.
Thank you. Moving on, Dan.
We have our current year budget summary. The projection for surplus has increased dramatically in the current year from the prior month due to billing of special education tuition to districts sending students to Bronxville classes. The expenditure projection remains steady and reflects at least $100,000 surplus from contracted services to go along with a similar surplus from salaries. I continue to be guarded concerning where overall expenditures are looking at this point for the full year, as we are dealing with the impact of the last few inflationary years and some challenges with the recent cleanups from the winter storms. Revenues is where the big changes come. We will now see a surplus from revenues of over $900,000 as our billings for special education tuition are now final and are robust. Our initial projection was based on prior year billing rates. However, we have transitioned this year to billing the New York State Education Department approved rates, which are higher. Therefore, the overall projection of surplus is more than doubled for the year to over $1.1 million. And that surplus will help us maintain our bond rating as we move forward with our construction project.
Good news.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dan.
We'll take good news. Two financial action items. We have a foundation grant. Foundation's approved an off-cycle grant in the amount of $3,750 for Wall Street Prep Senior Shadowing. As always, we thank the foundation for their tremendous support, and I'm recommending that this grant be approved and accepted with gratitude to the foundation.
Any questions on the grant? No? Thank you very much to the foundation, as always, for everything you guys do. Motion to approve the financial action item?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, foundation.
Thank you.
Second action item comes from recommendations from the district treasurer and our external auditors, requesting that the board approve a resolution to close a listing of special purpose accounts, which have been dormant over the last few years. These accounts were created, for class trips, things of that nature. As these particular accounts have had no activity within the last 3 years, it's standard practice to close them and transfer the remaining funds to the general fund, which is about $16,000 all told from roughly 20 accounts.
I do want to be clear here, we still have a teacher center, we still have Model UN.
Yeah.
It's just coming out of a different budget.
Yeah, we
Different
just
fund.
had some duplicate accounts.
Yes.
I love a
Exactly.
good cleanup of the general ledger.
That's all this is.
You and Albert.
Yeah.
It's facilities.
We do.
Oh,
Motion.
we need a motion? Okay. Motion to, it's not on here, but motion to accept cleaning up the general ledger.
Motion, accept.
Second.
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Facilities, snow's melting. We still got a big pile on the grass field. Hopefully that'll be gone by the end of the weekend. But I don't know how we got those fields cleared for the first day of practice. The 85-degree day, I think last Tuesday helped. But there was a lot of snow, and I think Mike Lee had one of his guys out there doing wheelies on the ATV to help melt the
On the
snow.
field, I saw that. I thought that's what that was.
Yep,
Yeah.
did a good job. New project bids are out. The bid opening is scheduled for April 14th at 11 a.m. So we'll see how that comes in. Fingers crossed, knock on wood, If they're within budget, we're good to go. If they're over budget, we have to do what we call value engineering. Taking a look at the budget and things we, that we can reprioritize, continuing to do the work that we've done over the last 3 years. As far as the old project go, we're still waiting for final completion of the vestibule doors. We're expecting to receive the remaining hardware this week, and we're trying to schedule a day the week of the 30th to install them over the break. So it'll be great to get that finalized. I think overall that portion of the project has been tremendous. I think all the spaces we got out of that, between the middle school conference room, the security vestibule, and the way that the contractor matched, the interior architecture of the new functionality of those doors with the existing was absolutely tremendous. Now we just need the security function to be in place, and hopefully that'll be after break.
It's amazing how long doors take.
It's always the doors and windows. No facilities action items. There is one other action item. Two.
All in athletics, though.
Yeah. We have mergers. Typically at this meeting, we approve mergers for next year, but we actually have a merger for the spring of this year, which is club rugby. We have a female rugby player who wants to play, and Rye runs a rugby team. So they will be transporting themselves, so there's actually zero cost to us.
And that is because rugby is not a sanctioned Section 1 approved sport.
Mm-hmm.
And Rye is not charging us for a portion of the coach.
She must be pretty good.
I think she's very good. Rye is very pleased.
Right.
And then we have mergers for next year. Girls swim and dive, volleyball, boys and girls skiing, boys swim and dive, boys ice hockey, girls ice hockey, softball, and this rugby for next year. We host girls swim and dive, boys and girls skiing, boys ice hockey. Is there a chance that the volleyball may or may not happen? But we have to approve this in case it does happen.
Okay. Any questions on the athletic action items? Can I have a motion to approve the athletic action items, please?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Thank you for coordinating all of that, Anthony.
Thanks, Anthony. Thank you. Appreciate it. Getting a lot done there in your first year. Okay, board reports. Facilities, we are planning a facilities meeting, I think, in the next month or so to touch on the project. Say it again?
When the bids come in.
Yep, when the bids come in. What else? Finance, you guys kind of
We covered
talked
it.
about it earlier, yeah?
We did, but we had a meeting to meet with the insurance consultant,
Okay,
which was still very much kind of a progress update. And we expect to meet with them again in probably a month with hopefully some preliminary proposals.
okay,
Yeah.
great.
And we're talking about health insurance, just to be clear.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, the Finance Committee has been working really, really hard on trying to find some solutions to bending that curve back on the health expenses. So thank you, guys. Mike, you got?
Yeah, curriculum met, and
Yeah.
I want Ann, if you could highlight, there was some of the foundation grants, particularly we had a conversation on media literacy, which I thought was really great enhancement to our civil discourse work that we're doing in the school. Good.
Actually, we just presented this morning to the tech designated fund of the foundation about a number of grants specifically related to technology. But in terms of the media literacy work we hope to do within civil discourse, it's really around beginning to think about how our students are gathering information, often through social media now, not vetted papers or news sources. And many of us don't actually gather information that way, but how can we help students learn skills for them to better navigate that experience and understand how to evaluate what they're hearing, and also how, when they're engaging on a platform, just the algorithms, how those work and feed them information. So we're hoping to build that into the civil discourse work we're doing, and then from there maybe build it out back into the middle school digital literacy work that we already do. So the foundation is taking that grant under consideration among many that have been proposed.
That sounds great. So not just sitting and listening and watching, but actually being able to determine whether or not what they're being told is accurate or not.
Yeah, and even this concept, which I had never really heard of, click restraint, waiting to click onto something and thinking through what the impact will be on your algorithm or what you're going to be fed in terms of information before you just click, 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 because that's what kids are doing.
Yeah.
So I think just helping to inform them more about the consequences of that.
Yeah. Even more important with AI, and you watch a video of something going on,
Don't even know if
conflict
it's
in the Middle
true.
East, and you don't even know if what you're watching is real or not.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
great. Super important. Thank you to the foundation for that. That's really, really great.
Those 19 grants are very impressive. Yeah. It's a great presentation.
Yeah. Any other reports? PTA or foundation?
Foundation, there was a board meeting this week. Foundation's in the middle of their grant process, so a ton of great submissions, and they're evaluating them. Thank you for Amy Atkinson for being here, the chairperson of the foundation. Also, there's a search for a new executive director. Helena McSherry is retiring, and all praise to her. She's amazing. I wish we were related. I wish my kids were as smart as her kids. She's amazing, and she's going to be very hard to replace. Anyone interested for the position, the email is bsfsearchcommittee@gmail.com. If you're looking, put your name in that. Thank you, Amy. Thank you to the foundation.
Thanks, Pete. Amy, you have anything to add on the search? And any?
It's a great time of year to be working at the school foundation. Lots of really interesting grants. Anne presented several this morning, and there are lots more to come.
Great. I'll just add that a few of us up here have to answer to the elementary school lobby, and they're really anticipating what's going to be the new structure that you guys are going to be hopefully putting out there soon. Okay. Great. PTA?
There was no meeting this month, so again, very appreciative of their partnership, but we're happy that they support us in everything that they do, so.
Great.
But no meeting this month.
Well, thanks to the PTA for everything they do.
Yeah.
If that's it, I guess, any public comments, questions? Yes.
Mr. President, esteemed trustees of the board, my name is Jeff Ongvari, 30-year resident of the village, 27-year taxpayer. First board meeting. I believe my civic duty is to help out the community. Chamber of Commerce, Community Fund, Eliza Corn Frost Child Center, Parish Council, and help them all. I met informally, I thought, with several members of the Finance Committee to talk about the health insurance. With all due respect, 8%, you're nowhere near what you need budget for. I offer pro bono services. My 3 kids, 13-year members. The last one's out of here. I'll still be a taxpayer. You've got a big problem on your hands. Aging population, growth in GLP-1s, more meds. With all due respect, you hired a consultant, they've not delivered in 6 months. I can do this for you much quicker. You need to be more comfortable sharing data so that you can come back and help your taxpayers. So again, I offer my services pro bono. Somebody who's been doing this for 30 years. I'll drop some names. Weddy, Helen Knapp and her husband Charles, the Goodsons, the Loaders, on and on. Local citizens who relied on my expertise and my backing of the company to help out this situation. It's untenable, and I can help.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't see any questions online.
No? Okay. If that's it for tonight, I guess motion to adjourn, please.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.